Hey there, this is Kent Berk, the founding and managing attorney here at Berk Law Group in Scottsdale, Arizona, where we specialize in probate, trust, estate, and related disputes and litigation here in Arizona. So I've been, speaking about and studying artificial intelligence and how it can help our firm and other businesses now for over a year. I've spoken extensively and asked many times, like, what's the most powerful thing you could do or that you've discovered you can do with AI so far? And it's by far and away our robust employee training hub that we built with AI. So let me start with a question. Well, why would you want to do this? And I don't think it's any secret that the difference between a, a good and a superior business, especially a service-based business, is procedures and workflows. Having consistent policies and procedures and workflows for common or uniform tasks. And basically anything that is repeated within your business should be recorded, so it only has to be trained once. The sooner you start treating your time like it's money, the sooner you'll start doing better. And I think having an employee training hub where you have a uniform uh, system for presenting information in a sensible and logical format to maintain uniformity, you will see the results. We adopted less than a year ago the employee training hub I'm about to tell you more about, and it has made a amazing difference. And your human resources are your best and most powerful asset. And having a training hub that allows them to achieve their potential is a game changer. So stay tuned for more details. Before I get into the details of how to work with ChatGPT to develop your training hub, I wanted to point out that really the place that you should start to really develop an educational plan that will be as impactful as possible is use the principles of what's called backwards design. So you should start by thinking about what are your objectives and what are the assessments or quizzes or standards that you want them to meet. So if, for example, you want to teach them how to redact information, you need to develop a list of the different criteria that will determine whether they know how to redact information, confidential information from a document. So basically, you start by keeping the end in mind. What is it that you want them to know, and what are the key questions that you would want them to be able to answer accurately to assess and confirm that they know the information that you want them to know. So give conscious thought to that before you start the process of working with AI to develop your employee training materials and resources, uh, or updating them. A lot of businesses obviously have employee training materials, policies and procedures, manuals, that kind of thing. And that is a place to start to upload those materials to GPT and then build on them to update them and complete them. So let's talk about how you actually interface with GPT to do this, to build your training hub. So I'm using the OpenAI ChatGPT model called the Workspace. And so you can click on the icon up here, I think in almost any model, and create a GPT. So you go here to My GPTs, but let me just back up for a second. In settings, you want to make sure that your data controls are off. They improve the model for everyone, that this is turned off. And that way, all of your employee training material, whatever else, if you're working with client material, it's private and it's not shared. You should check the end user license agreement and privacy terms and conditions of whatever AI model that you use to make sure that they keep the information confidential to the extent that you legally need to do so for your clients or customers. All right, so going to the My GPTs here, you can then create a GPT. just click create a GPT. I'm not going to do that. You can see I've played around with various GPTs, but the one I want to show you today is this BLG knowledge base that we created. So once you get into the create section, if you go to create a new one, you'll start in what I'm going to click into now, the back end of the create GPT uh, interface. And you can see it opens two windows, the preview and the create or configure. When you create it, a new one, you'll start in the create section and just have a conversation with the bot to explain what it is you want to do. Here I interfaced and explained that we wanted to, first of all, build out all of our employee training materials. We had a policies and procedures manual. It was, not the greatest. It was outdated. What small business has the time and money to update their policies and procedures manual every day? Well, now that you have AI, really pretty much everybody. But anyway, you explain here in this create section what it is that you want this bot to be able to do. And primarily, we wanted to be able to have the bot answer questions of employees. So it's a reference source. We also wanted to use it to build out and complete, like I said, our existing materials, and then use that bot to create uh, training materials, PowerPoint presentations, video scripts, and so forth to train our employees, and then quizzes or assessments to assess to confirm that the employees know all the material that we are training them on. Okay, so once you explain here what it is that you want it to do, you can then go into the back end and configure it. So these instructions I did not write. This basically was developed by AI and filled in there based on the chat that I had in the create section. Okay, so it also developed a series of conversation starters that will appear in the window. And so basically what we did is after we finished all of the employee training material, roles and responsibilities, key performance criteria, all the things that we felt needed to be covered by our policies and procedures manual, some of the suggestions or many of the suggestions came from AI because I would ask it, okay, develop roles and responsibilities, or are we missing anything, or whatever. You can have a broad conversation to build out all of your material, whether it's in one document or more than one document. You can upload those documents, upload the files to the configure section to create the knowledge base that this GPT will refer to per your instructions in the create section. You will instruct it to refer to your knowledge base that you're creating to answer any questions that you might have. So that's the basics on how to interface with the GPT to create a custom GPT. You see here that you have different capabilities. I have deactivated the web search because I want it to rely on only our knowledge base to answer questions. So once you do that, you will click create or update, whatever the case might be, and then you can interface with it, as I will be showing here in a second. So here's just a basic chat on how you might interface with GPT to create your policies, procedures, and employee handbook. Don't worry about small misspellings like that. It knows what you're getting at. You can see here where I told it what I wanted to do, and now it's asking me a whole bunch of questions to help develop the best work product possible, including an outline of different sections that might be included in an employee handbook. If you have existing material, you can just drag and drop it right here or click on the plus and upload from the computer to drag any or to let GPT analyze your existing material to then be able to update it. You can ask it questions about your existing material. You can ask it to identify gaps or any areas that should be clarified. And then certainly you can identify workflows or procedures that you want it to add to your manual or package of documents in order to be as complete as possible. Once you've completed that, you can then upload the material to your custom GPT, as I showed in the other segment. So in the next segment of the video, I'm going to explain how to use the custom GPT knowledge base to then develop your training resources and assessments. But basically, at this stage, you would ask the GPT to update it and ultimately output the document in Microsoft Word or whatever editor that you use for final editing and then publishing as your quote official policy and procedure manual or employee handbook. And then it's that material that you would then upload to your custom GPT knowledge base to do what I'm about to show you. One of the really cool things you can do with GPT is create PowerPoint presentations, whether it's just from scratch, saying, just a prompt in a general GPT or a PowerPoint based on your knowledge base. So I showed you earlier the knowledge base that we created. And you can see here, that's the bot that I'm using. So all the answers will come from that database of our policies, procedures, and handbook materials. And I just asked it, create a PowerPoint of our ethics chapter from our employee handbook. And it gave me a really good outline of the different slides and the points that they're recommending to make. By the way, with all AI, you cannot rely on it. It does make mistakes. You need to carefully read it, authenticate it, make sure it's accurate, and that you're adopting whatever it is as your own material. So you can see this first take on this was pretty good. And then I asked it to output it to a PowerPoint with graphics and images, and it did okay there. And the nice thing is this thing gets smarter. It tends to ask you questions that would logically flow from what work product has been generated so far. So here, and this is relatively new, it's asking me if I want to add visuals or our logo, whatever. So I then said, yeah, and I uploaded our logo, as you can see here. And then it provided a updated version of the PowerPoint presentation that included the logo and some graphics. And I'm going to show you that now, the PowerPoint and how to work with the document in PowerPoint to spruce it up, let's say, using the designer tool. Depending on whether you uploaded your logo or other graphics to GPT to have it incorporated into the PowerPoint, you may get a plain vanilla PowerPoint presentation when you export the file from GPT. But it's not a problem because at least in PowerPoint, you have this designer tab that will allow you to very quickly and easily spruce up your presentation with graphics and colors that makes it really, really nice and easy to make a professional looking presentation. But be careful, GPT does make mistakes, AI makes mistakes. You need to verify, validate, and authenticate all of the material that you get from GPT and adopt it as your own and ensure that it is accurate and valid. But this designer tab is really cool, and you can output or basically transform a plain vanilla PowerPoint presentation that has the right content into a really professional, nice looking presentation in minutes. Another really cool thing you can do is you can use your knowledge base to create video scripts and outlines. You can see we're still in our custom GPT knowledge base. And now I asked it to create a video script for our bait stamp workflow, and it does a darn good job again creating that video outline with slide text overs, and then what the narrator would explain to teach someone how to bait stamp documents with final reminders and even reference to an intro and outro. Uh, and then it's asking me, do I want it as a slide deck to then just do a voiceover, or prefer something with a live demo where I just do a snipping screen capture with audio, like what I'm doing to create this video. And I asked it, well, I want to do a screen capture so I can demonstrate as I'm explaining. So it gives me an outline of how to do it that way. Again, very good job with each of the steps necessary to appropriately redact information and bait stamp the records. All right, you can see now after we completed the PowerPoint presentation with the downloadable file, it's asking me, do I want a PDF handout or a quiz? And I asked it to create a quiz. But just keep in mind, using backwards design principles and to create the most impactful training program possible, you should develop your quiz questions and assessments and objectives first before the training materials. So you know what you're training the employees on before you develop the training material. So I'm getting it backwards or just showing it backwards here, but you get the point in terms of how to interface with GPT to do this. So I asked it to create questions using these types, which are compatible with our learning management system, LearnDash, that is incorporated into our WordPress training hub site that I'll show you in a minute. But here's the questions that it came up with some hypotheticals and other questions to confirm our employees' understanding of our ethics and firm culture section. It then even offered to output those questions in a file that we could import into our learning management system. I didn't even know that that was possible. And through GPT and some additional investigation, even discovered that this LearnDash learning management system plugin that we use actually has another add-in that will allow you to batch import quiz questions from an Excel spreadsheet into the system, which is really nice. So you can really keep track of all of the questions in one view to make sure that you're not duplicating things or giving inconsistent information. But you can see here how it did a pretty good job, but just like with anything else, you cannot rely on AI. You need to verify for authenticity, accuracy, and so forth before you can publish anything and adopt it as your own. And you can see here where it started the conversation about creating an import file to import into the learning management system. Initially, by the way, it did get it wrong. The URL for the plugin, I had to end up locating it and telling the GPT the correct one. But I haven't tested that out yet, but it looks very, very promising. We chose to basically implement all of the training material that we generated through GPT is we created a private website that is password protected, employee access only, where we're warehousing all of the employee training materials and the employee handbook. So we created a private website, and then through this learning management system created different courses, one for the policies and procedures manual that includes videos. And you can see here, there's chapters for everything and a quiz that corresponds with each chapter. And so you can see where we've loaded in these PowerPoint presentations using it's called Flip a Deck. And you can put videos in here as well as the PowerPoint presentations, and then you can load in your quiz questions to ensure that your employees understand all the materials, as well as to identify any gaps in your training to ensure that you're filling those gaps and providing reminders and so forth. So in total, through this policies and procedures section, we have, I don't know, a dozen or 14 different chapters. Some of them have more than one topic, such as for the client relationship with, engagement. How many times have you taught somebody how to fill out an engagement letter? Well, no more. Now that it's all pre-recorded, it's that is where people learn how to fill out the engagement letter. Um, we then have all the resources, all those training materials, videos, PowerPoints are all warehoused here for quick reference if anybody wants to refer back. We also have a blog so that as we have updates to our policies and procedures manual, those will be published through the blog. And then each employee will receive an email as new blog posts are published. And then our office manager can refer back to that blog when we create our next official printed online version of our employee handbook to have a list of things that need to be updated. So those are all the basics of how to use GPT to create an elite, robust employee training hub. And it has been just transformational for our firm. All 12 of our employees have gone through it. I required all of our employees to achieve 100% accuracy through this LearnDash application, although they didn't have to do it in one sitting. In other words, you could retake the test as many times as they wanted. As always, reach out if you have any questions. I hope you found this video useful. If so, we'd really appreciate it if you would like the video and subscribe to our channel. We're always publishing more material on AI, as well as a variety of educational material on guardianships, conservatorships, financial exploitation, and a wide variety of probate, trusts, and estate litigation topics. Just reach out if you have any questions. Thanks for watching.